Hello, this is Jean Marie Ward for Buzzy Magazine. With me today is Walter John Williams, award-winning science fiction, fantasy, and historical author, and the Toastmaster of this year's Nebula Awards weekend. Welcome, Walter.
Glad to be here.
Your most recent series of novels featuring augmented reality games and Dagmar Shaw were supposed to be near-future science fiction. But the future you projected turned out to be incredibly close to current events, especially in Deep State, the second novel featuring Dagmar Shaw. It was practically a playbook for Arab Spring.
Yes.
How does it feel to be a prophet?
A little startling, actually, because I knew that something like that was going to happen. I had seen the various precursors of the Arab Spring happening, and the way that you can essentially crowdsource revolt. Yeah. But I didn't think anything on that scale would happen for another 6 to 8 years. And instead, it happened the very week that the book came out.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was amazing.
I started getting phone calls from government agencies, actually, about that week.
I bet that was the scariest.
Wanting to know how I knew. I was happy to tell them. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I bet that was the scariest part of the whole thing.
It was certainly one of the more interesting parts of the whole thing, yes.
Yeah. I was surprised that more wasn't made of it in the media, that once again, novels had predicted the present.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think nobody cares what science fiction writers think. That's kind of my impression.
That's scary. Of course, we always have the last laugh, almost like Cassandra, which is an even scarier part. Would you consider, speaking of futures and what we're creating, would you consider yourself an optimist or pessimist regarding what the future technology is creating for us?
I'm an optimist where technology is concerned. I'm a pessimist on certain other political issues, mm-hmm. And environmental issues. But I think our only hope of negotiating the future is through improved technologies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, presuming we learn how to use them properly.
Yes.
That's always the big.
I think what has been called the third industrial revolution, built around 3D printing, is going to be massively transformative.
I've seen some of the early efforts with it, and it's like the holodeck come to life from Star Trek, only with reality, not...
Pretty well, yeah. It means instead of great big assembly line factories, you will have little production plants scattered throughout the world, the country, that will be producing pretty much anything you need. And this is a huge game changer for the third world. Mm-hmm. If you have a little shack in every village in the developing world that can produce any tool that they need.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a game changer for us too. I mean, consider the mills and the assembly plants and all of the things that have become too expensive to build, which
yes.
is one of the reasons why we're losing our edge in production, is because the plants that we built can no longer produce what we need, and yet they are too expensive to replace.
Yes, that's so.
So I think it is a game changer for everybody. Speaking of that sort of stuff, though, do you plan to write more of Dagmar's adventures? I know the third book just came out.
The third book just came out. Has to do with the future of media, and it's called The Fourth Wall. I have an idea for a fourth book. I'll have to talk to the publisher about it.
Yes, and she's going to have to deal with a rather large life change. I won't issue any spoilers, but that's going to be pretty big. Mm-hmm. And traditionally difficult to write around.
Yes.
So, you're on a completely different end. You have written many, many books in just about every speculative fiction genre, and also as a historical writer, which is how you
yes.
got your start.
I started writing sea stories, basically. Mm-hmm. I wrote 5 novels that were historical sea adventure fiction in the Patrick O'Brian mode.
Mm-hmm. And then the market changed.
The market changed.
So the question is, given all of the publication issues you've been through, from market changes to just about every other horror story that can be imagined as a writer, how did you survive and overcome them all? Because you have.
I always had the writing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I really care about. That, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but one of the secrets of being a dedicated writer is that you really would do this for free.
Yeah, that's dangerous to say out loud.
Yeah.
The whole actor's joke about they don't pay you for acting, they pay you for sitting around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always had the writing to fall back on, and that's what I love to do. And it doesn't so much matter to me in which forum I do it. I'm happy to work. I'm happy to write novels. I'm happy to write short fiction. I'm happy to write screenplays. I'm happy to do shared world work.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all of that. But it's the writing that matters, and that's what helps me persevere.
You've been called one of science fiction and fantasy's top prose stylists.
Well, thank you.
Yes, you have. It's not just me.
Okay.
How do you interpret that statement?
Well, I have what I think is a very flexible style.
Mm-hmm.
And I adopt my style to the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid to do stylistic experiments and
Mm-hmm.
structural experiments. I don't deliberately try to make my work obscure
Mm-hmm.
in any way. I mean, if I do an experiment, there's a reason for it to be an experiment, and I hope and trust that the reader will be able to follow me through all of that. I don't try to make my work inaccessible, but I'm not afraid of the occasional tour de force.
How important do you think style is in genre fiction?
It's what makes a writer what the writer is. Mm-hmm. Even if the writer says they have no style and try to do an absolutely clear, transparent style, that's still style. Mm-hmm. And that's what distinguishes that writer from other writers. Lots of writers have ideas. Lots of writers can put words on paper. But in order to make a true individual contribution, it's almost always in the direction of style. That's what people come back to.
I mentioned in my intro that you're the Toastmaster this weekend.
Yes.
At Nebula Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great honor, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What are you planning for us?
Well, you know, the trick of a Toastmaster at an award banquet, where other people are being honored, mm-hmm. and other people have been nominated for an award, the trick for a Toastmaster is, of course, to make it all about him. And that's what I plan to do.
Oh, that's so scary. Are you going to give us any hints about what to expect?
I think you should expect an astronaut.
Oh, yes, that's right. You have brought NASA to the Nebula.
I have.
In the person of Mike Fink. How did that come about?
I got lucky. Mike Fink took one of my books up to the International Space Station to read.
Oh, cool. Which one was it?
Implied Spaces.
Oh, okay. Then the one that's downstairs, or was downstairs at the book.
It is available in the dealer's room in this very hotel.
And yes. Paperback, and is it full trade or hardcover?
It's hardcover.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, Mike took the book up to the space station. And if you carry stuff up to the space station, you have to provide NASA a list.
Yes.
And one of the things that NASA does with its astronauts that are up on space stations for, say, 6 months at a time, is to try and keep them from being bored mm-hmm. out of their minds. And
yes.
so they set up a surprise video conference between me and Mike Fink.
Oh, cool.
So I got to talk to the space station.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a terrific honor and terrific fun. And Mike and I have stayed in touch. And last year, when he went up on Endeavour's last flight, he invited my wife and I to come to Florida and attend the pre-launch party and view the launch from the VIP section.
Oh, how nice.
At the Kennedy Space Center. And that was a delight. But I still hadn't actually met him.
Mm-hmm.
because at the pre-launch party he was in quarantine in case I
Yes.
gave him measles or something.
Yeah,
So he was represented by a large life-size cardboard figure. So I had my picture taken with Flat Mike, but I haven't actually met him till this weekend.
Yes, and you've had your picture taken many times with real Mike this weekend.
Yes, I have, and he's quite a delight. He's terrific.
He does seem like a very, very nice man.
Mm-hmm.
Are you as disappointed as the rest of us that the shuttles are being retired?
Well, I think it's probably time for the shuttles to be retired.
Mm-hmm.
The technology has advanced well beyond that now. What I'm disappointed in is that there really isn't a viable program to replace it.
Mm-hmm.
That private industry is stepping in to do certain things, and that's terrific. But I think there still is a place for utterly visionary, insane, megalomaniacal projects like going to the moon in the 60s, and I want that sort of thing to continue. And I want to see a continued human presence in space, because, for one thing, as an author, I find it really boring to write about machines in space. So.
Yeah, that's true, but overcoming the challenges of putting people in space is a big, big job. What are you working on now?
I have just completed a novella about Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla.
Oh boy.
And Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla were in fact friends
It figures.
back in New York in the 1890s. They hung out in the same social circles. It's about Mark Twain's reactions to some of Tesla's more arcane discoveries. I think that's... And the title is The Boolean Gate.
Oh.
And it will be available online on Subterranean magazine sometime this fall.
Oh, that's great.
And also as a chapbook.
Subterranean does really good work.
They do.
They do very lovely work. That's great. What, and you mentioned that you've got an idea for the fourth Dagmar Shaw. And anything else that we haven't covered that you really want to talk about?
Oh, open-ended questions are always troublesome, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I just expect to be here for a while. And I don't always know what I'm going to do next. I have at least 4 different projects that I want to do now, and we'll have to see how publishers and others respond to them. But I'm not quitting, because the writing is what it's really all about.
Yes, it is. And on that note, thank you very much, Walter, and thank you from BuzzyMagazine.com.